As a child, I was promised that I would grow and change. But I'm only 5'6", and I still watch Pokemon. In 1998, I was in the first grade, a new school. I was placed in a combination classroom of first, second, and third graders all together, so that I could be in the same class as my sister, who did not want to be around me. This also meant that I had 3 times as many bullies as I did in kindergarten, and that most of my tormentors towered over me. Weeks into the fall semester, it became clear to me that nobody wanted to be around me. But one day I noticed that an older child had brought in a backpack with a strange yellow creature on it, and in an attempt to finally make a friend, I asked him about it. He told me that it was a Pikachu. I asked him what a Pikachu was. He told me that Pikachu was a Pokemon, as if I would know what a Pokemon was, but not Pikachu. Upon hearing the word Pokemon for the first time, I gestured with both index fingers, poking the air. Provoked, he then attacked me physically and verbally, as per usual. This violent act of peer pressure and exclusion led to my longest-lasting hobby, crying alone, as well as my second longest-lasting hobby, ruminating over my old pains, as well as my third longest-lasting hobby, Pokemon. Tireless in my attempts to fit in somewhere besides my locker, I asked my mother to take me to the local hobby shop so that I could purchase Pokemon cards. I wasn't allowed to play violent video games, but equally violent card games were A-OK, a good investment in my parents' eyes. Also, we were poor. Unaware of booster packs or the like, I bought a single card from behind the glass. A Caterpie. Paid $1.50 for a Caterpie, my entire life savings. I spent all that green paper on other green paper. With inflation, $1.50 would be worth about $2.38 today. A Caterpie is still worth $1.50. Maybe a little less, actually, depending on the quality. This is not that Caterpie, by the way. That one had my name written in permanent marker along the top, so that if it was lost, someone would be able to return it. Well, it was lost, and no one ever returned it. It's been nigh over a score since I've seen it last. I chose Caterpie. There were other cards, but I chose Caterpie because it's the first Pokemon that Ash had caught, which he was only able to catch because it's one of the weakest Pokemon in the Kanto region. It was also a poor choice for me because, like Misty, I have a deep fear of insects, and a deeper fear of impending change. That's all Caterpies are, really. That's all caterpillars are. What do you know about caterpillars, besides that they eat milk and change into butterflies? Nothing. They're not that interesting. Caterpie is the 10th Pokemon, the first after the 3 starters and their evolutionary chains. That was their next idea after elemental reptiles, a caterpillar. Caterpie also smells bad. It just does. That's what the thing on its head is. It's called an osmeridium. It's like a tongue. Caterpillars use them to repel other insects. It just wants to be alone. Unlike an actual caterpillar, Caterpie is a foot long and weighs 6 pounds. Like a premature newborn. I was born premature, just a month early, so not enough that you can tell, but enough that it makes sense. Caterpie is a bug-type Pokemon because it's a bug. Bug-type Pokemon have the lowest powered attacks across the board. Those attacks are also resisted by the most other types. In the original games, only 3 types are weak against bug Pokemon. Poison, Grass, and Psychic, which are just things that bugs eat. Poisonous plants, regular plants, and my mental state. Caterpie is also the first Pokemon that we see evolve in that same episode. Not even Caterpie wants to be a Caterpie. It'd rather be a Pokemon that can't do anything. A lifeless pointy bean I'm not sure even has a whole face. A dormant doormat. Caterpie's only attack is string shot, where it shoots string, like what kids do at parties. I assume I was never invited to kids' parties. Still not. Haven't been invited to adults' parties either. String. That's its attack. It does the least amount of damage possible, and if you're lucky, it'll paralyze your opponent, rendering them just as useless as its evolved form. In the original games, it only has 2 other moves in its learn set. Tackle, in which you feel the full force of a premature infant. Honestly, I'd rather be tackled by an infant than an insect. You wouldn't even notice if you were tackled by an insect. You might have an insect on you right now, and you wouldn't even know. I still have a deep fear of insects. Its last move is Bug Bite, the smallest of bites. As in, oh, it's just a bug bite. There is a separate move in the game called Bite, just regular bite. I guess that's too intense for Caterpie. It doesn't even have a mouth. It doesn't have a whole face either. I wish that I didn't have a whole face. At least not this whole face. The final evolved form of Caterpie is Butterfree for some reason. Butterfree is just as scared and pitiful as Caterpie, except it does have a whole face and it can fly. It has wings to crop dust its stench. Butterfree was also the first Pokemon that Ash abandoned, traded for the Monopoly Man's rat, which he was quick to go back on, but even quicker to abandon it for a second time to this explicitly gendered Butterfree. It stuck that time. Butterfree was never seen again. My long-lost, defaced, and unusable Caterpie did not lead to new friendships, or a lull in my suffering. In fact, I'm quite sure that one of them just stole that card and continued to exclude me. 3 years in the same classroom. I saw my future every day, and it was the same as the day before. In many ways, I was Caterpie. A small, frail, anxious being whose only purpose was to be easy prey. But slowly I've grown and evolved into a Metapod, and now I am still Metapod because I don't do anything. I haven't done anything with my life. I made this video for YouTube. That's it. I will never be a Butterfree. I will never be free. Gotta catch 'em all.